Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Sodanandana Pratajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Pratajana Ranjana. Jamnatira Vanachari. Natira Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanodari. Sodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pravdakacharya Asatya Sutta Shri Sriman His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakarta Vaishnavanda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai. Shri Maya Parnavidam Ki Jai. Gangamaya Ki Jai. Jamunamaya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Hoyanam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glorious some of the devotees. All glorious some of the devotees. All glorious some of the devotees. All glorious Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, text number 28. Why does this thing always do that? Oh, yeah. How does it get like that all the time? Okay, here we go. Sri Rudu Vacha. Oh, is it 28? Yeah, 28. Yeah. Here it says 27. Okay. Ya Param. Okay, no, this is the right verse, but just the wrong number. That's okay. So 28. Ya Parang Ranghasa Sakshat Tri Gunaj Jiva Sangitat Bhagavantam Vasudevang Prapana Sa Priyo Hime Ya Parang Ranghasa Sakshad Tri Gunaj Jiva Sangitat Bhagavantam Vasudevang Prapana Sapriyo Hime Yaparang Ranghasa Sakshat Trigunaj Jiva Sangitat Bhagavantam Vasudevang Prapana Sapriyo Hime Yaparang Ranghasa Sakshat Trigunaj Jiva Sangitat Bhagavantam Vasudevang Prapana Sapriyo Hime Yaparang Ranghasang Sakshat Triguna Jiva Sangitat Bhagavantam Vasudevang Prapana Sapriyo Hime Yaparang Ranghasa Sakshat Krigana Bhagavantam Vasudevang Ya, anyone, Parang, transcendental, Ranghasa, of the controller, Sakshat, directly, Trigunat, from the three modes of material nature, Jiva Sangitat, living entities called by the name Jivas, Bhagavantam, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudevam, unto Krishna. Prapana, surrendered. Sa, he, priya, very dear. He, undoubtedly. Me, of me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's a bit of a purport here. Translation. Lord Shiva continued, any person who was surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the controller of everything, material nature as well as the living entities, is actually very dear to me. Purport. Now Lord Shiva explains the reason he has personally come before the princes. It is because all the princes are devotees of Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7:19. Bahunang janmanam mante, gyanavan mam papajate, vasudeva sarvamiti, sa mahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Lord Shiva is rarely seen by common men. And similarly, a person who is fully surrendered unto Vasudeva, Krishna, is also very rarely seen, because a person who is fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord is very rare. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Consequently, Lord Shiva came especially to see the Pachetas because they were fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Vasudeva is also mentioned in the beginning of the Srimadbhagavatam in the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Since Vasudeva is the ultimate truth, Lord Shiva openly proclaims that one who is a devotee of Lord Vasudeva, who is surrendered to Lord Krishna, is actually very dear to him. Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, is worshipable not only by ordinary living entities, but by demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and others. Young Brahma, Varun, Nendra, Rudra, Maruta, Stuvanti, Divyai, Stavai, Srimad Bhagavatam 12:13:1. Krishna is worshipped by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Varuna, Indra, Chandra, and all other demigods. That is also the situation with a devotee. Indeed, one who takes to Krishna consciousness immediately becomes very dear to anyone who is simply finding out and beginning to understand what Krishna consciousness actually is. Similarly, all the demigods are also trying to find out who is actually surrendered to Lord Vasudeva. Because the Pachetas, the princes, were surrendered to Vasudeva, Lord Shiva willingly came forth to see them. Lord Vasudeva, or Krishna, is described in Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama. Actually, he is the enjoyer, Purusha, and the Supreme, Uttama, as well. He is the enjoyer of everything, the Prakriti and the Purusha. Being influenced by the three modes of material nature, the living entities try to dominate material nature, but actually he is not the Purusha, enjoyer, but Prakriti, as described in Bhagavad Gita 7:5, Aparayam itastvanyam, Prakritim vidimeparam. Thus, the jiva, or living entity, is actually Prakriti, or the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. Being associated with material energy, he tries to lord it over the material nature. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:7. Mamai vangso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasastan indriyani prakriti stani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. By endeavoring to dominate material nature, the living entity simply struggles hard for existence. Indeed, he struggles so hard to enjoy himself that he cannot even enjoy the material resources. Thus he is sometimes called Prakriti, or Jiva, for he is situated in the material or marginal potency. When the living entity is covered with the three modes of material nature, he is called Jiva Sangita. There are two kinds of living entities. One is called Kshara, and the other is called Akshara. Kshara refers to those who have fallen down and become conditioned, and akshara refers to those who are not conditioned. The vast majority of living entities live in the spiritual world and are called akshara. They are in the position of Brahman, pure spiritual existence. They are different from those who have been conditioned by the three modes of material nature. Just like in this world, most people aren't in prison. Right? There's a few that are in prison. So it's kind of like that. Most living entities don't make the mistake we made. Going separate from Krishna. Being above both the Kshara and Akshara, Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, is described in Bhagavad Gita 15:18 as Purushottama. The impersonalists may say that Vasudeva is the impersonal Brahman, but actually the impersonal Brahman is subordinate to Krishna, as also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14:27, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. That Krishna is the source of the impersonal Brahman is also confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 5:40. Yashya prabhapa bhavto jangadanda koti. The impersonal Brahman is nothing but the effulgence or bodily rays of Krishna, and in those bodily rays there are innumerable universes floating. Thus, in all respects, Vasudeva Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and Lord Shiva is very satisfied with those who are completely surrendered to him. Complete surrender is desired by Krishna, and he indicates in the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita 18:66, Sarvadhamam pratyaja mamekam saranam braja. The word sat meaning directly is very significant. There are many so-called devotees, but actually they are only karmis and jnanis, for they are not directly devotees of Lord Krishna. The karmis sometimes offer the results of their activities to Lord Vasudeva, and this offering is called karmarpanam. These are considered to be fruitive activities, for the karmis considered Lord Vishnu to be one of the demigods, like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. But they consider Lord Vishnu to be on this, because they consider Lord Vishnu to be on the same level with the demigods, they contend that surrendering to the demigods is as good as surrendering unto Vasudeva. This contention is denied herein, because if it were true, Lord Shiva would have said that surrender unto him, Lord Vasudeva, Vishnu, or Brahma, is the same. However, Lord Shiva does not say this because he himself surrenders unto Vasudeva, and whoever else surrenders unto Vasudeva is very, very dear to him. This is expressed herein openly. The conclusion is that a devotee of Lord Shiva is not dear to Lord Shiva, but a devotee of Lord Krishna is very dear to Lord Shiva. Om Ajnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshram Militam Dena Tasmai Sri Gurve Nama Mukam Gotavachalam Pungan Long Hayate Gurim Yat Kripa Talaham Bande Sigurum Dinataranam Vanchikapa Trivyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These Prachetas are pretty special souls. They were such great devotees that Lord Shiva, who is Vaishnavanam Yathashambhu, he recognizes who is a great devotee. If you're a great devotee, you can recognize who is a great devotee, right? So he recognized and appeared before them. But we're going to find out in a few more chapters how really special these devotees are, because Lord Vishnu himself is going to appear before them. And he's going to say that I've appeared to you because of your friendly dealings with one another. Interesting, huh? And because you only have one occupation, that occupation is devotional service. So for these two reasons, Lord Vishnu, we're going to hear, appeared to these Pachetas. So friendly dealings with one another. Like Prabhupada said, before he left this world, he said, your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate with one another, how you have your friendly dealings with one another. And now we have this one occupation of service to Krishna. It's not easy in Kali Yuga. Yeah. It's difficult to have unity in Kali Yuga, just like we have the United Nations. They started the United Nations, in 1960 or something like that? After the war, okay, 40s. But since then, still more flags. So, more flags, more countries. So disunity. So yeah, it's difficult to have unity in this Kali Yuga. And Prabhupada says that even in one purport, he says that even in a Vaishnava community, we find that there is disunity. And he gave two reasons. One, because different opinions. People have different opinions. But he says in the purport, there are no two opinions. There's only one opinion. And that is how to please Krishna. That's the only opinion, is how to please Krishna. And he said the other reason is that we have disunity is because of attraction to matter. Because of attraction to matter, we lose focus on this unified desire to please Krishna. Yeah, we clash. Yeah. So important that we stay focused on this one point of trying to please Krishna. Yeah, this unity. And then we can carry on very nicely. Like there's a saying, we've all heard this saying, that Prabhupada, he built a house in which the whole world can live. Actually, he also built a boat on which the whole world can come aboard and go back to Godhead. It's like this material world is compared to an ocean of material existence, a vast ocean of material existence. So this is the boat, a subtle boat, by which we can cross over this ocean of material existence. And while we're on this boat, we want to help others get on the boat. Throw a lifeline, Hey, come on up. And these books are lifelines. They're lifelines. We're getting the books out to the people. And now I'm sure there's a lot more people reading Prabhupada's books now than ever before. Because people would get the books and they wouldn't have much time. But now there's so much time. So I'm sure a lot of people are hearing about Krishna now. But we have to get more books out, try to bring more people on this transcendental boat where Srila Prabhupada is the captain. Yeah. And this will give great pleasure, actually, to Krishna. Because the main, just like we're hearing in this purport, Prabhupada mentions this verse, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, Bahunam Janmanam Mante, Jnanamam Papajite, Vasudeva Sraviti, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. It's very rare to surrender to Krishna. One has to be a Mahatma. But to be a Mahatma, a great soul, very difficult. What is the qualification of a Mahatma? Most important, main qualification, compassion. Compassion. Therefore, Prabhupada, he was speaking about this verse, Sakshad Harit Vaina Samasta Sastra, that the spiritual master, he's a very confidential servant of Krishna. Therefore, he is worshipped as though he is God, on the level of God. So he said, what is that confidential service? Preaching. That he's preaching Krishna consciousness. So this is the main qualification of a devotee. Just like we heard yesterday, how Prahlad Maharaj, he doesn't just want to go by himself. He wants to help others. He wants to help others go back to Krishna. He says that Naivod Vijay Paratirutjaya Vaitronyas Tvadvirya Gaina Mahamrita Magda Chitta So Chetato Vimukacheta Sa Indriyartha Maya Sakayam Badamuvato Vimudan. He says, I have no problem, no anxiety. Why? Because wherever I go, I'm hearing, I'm chanting the glories of Krishna. But I have one concern, and that is for all the unfortunate souls who are wasting their life. He says the fools and rascals that are wasting their life in material sense gratification. He says, I am concerned out of love for them. And it's interesting. So he's so happy in the service of Krishna, but at the same time he's feeling a little downtrodden. He's a little sad that people are suffering so much and they don't know how to become free of this suffering. So out of compassion, he preaches, and he preached to his class friends, and they became devotees. Here he's preaching to these sons of demons, and they became devotees. A good preacher, Prahlad Maharaj, imagine, one of the greatest, best preachers. So, we should want to also help others on this, on their journey of life back to Krishna. Another quality, just like there's this Matsevam Dvoram Ahori Muktes Tamo Dvoram Yositam Sangi Sangam Mahantaste Samachita Prasanta Vimanyava Surda Sadhava. This is one of the, or this is the first, or in this verse it says that he's highly knowledgeable. Mahantas has great realizations about what is the absolute truth. I remember when I was in school, I was so bored. It was torture. I hated school. I would go to school just to hang out with my friends, and just get by, just get by to pass, I just wasn't into it. But then, high school. But then, when I found Prabhupada's books, I found the Bhagavad Gita, like, wow, here's some knowledge. I couldn't put it down. I read it in like 3 days. Of course, that was the abridged. The abridged was the one that didn't have about half the purports. Didn't have any Sanskrit. It was so interesting. It's like, I read it in like 3, couldn't put it down. I was thinking, this is knowledge, this is real information. That people benefit, so many people, millions of people are benefiting. So this is real information. And it's the most important information. Mata paratananyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is no truth superior to me. Everything is resting on me as pearls are strung on a thread. So this is the highest. This is the highest knowledge. And therefore it's so important that we distribute this knowledge. And it's not that because we aren't able to go out to the streets, therefore we can't distribute books anymore. Vaiseshika Prabhu, I heard recently that they're doing more books now than they were doing before. Before the lockdown, now they're doing more. So, there's one person that said, don't waste a good crisis. So we're also going to get in this calling people and internet preaching, and so this is something that, as Maharaj was saying the other day, that these Buddhists in Denver, they weren't doing anything. Then they went on the internet and they just doing huge. So it's something that we have to get absorbed in. So, and then samachitta, that he sees everyone as a soul. Yeah. This is the position of a Mahatma, a pure devotee. He sees that everybody is a spirit soul. A couple of days ago I was on the beach walking, and I saw one person. He was pulling a seal by his snout. He was pulling a seal. Huge seal, you know. It's like he got it. Yeah, well, he got pushed up out of the water into the sand. So he was helping out this seal, pulling him to the water, and he got to the water and he happily swam away. Now I saw it from about maybe 300 yards away. I was like, "Wow, look at that, a seal!" So the man was still there, and I said, "Wow, that was a seal, huh?" He said, "Yeah, the seal got washed up, and I was just pulling it back to the water." And he said, "Yeah, I'm an animal lover." So I said, "Oh, that's nice. Are you vegetarian?" He said, "What?" I said, "Are you vegetarian?" "Oh yeah, I never thought about that. I guess I should be vegetarian." They don't think, they see it all wrapped up. They just think it's like, cornflakes or something. Yeah, yeah, right. They don't think it comes from animals, all wrapped up nicely. So he thought about that. Probably the first time he ever thought about it. Yeah, they're animals that we're eating. Unfortunately, I didn't have a higher taste with me. But a devotee has compassion for all living entities. He sees the soul in all living entities. Just like there was one nice passage of Prabhupada. Whenever Prabhupada would go to Mayapur, first he would stop at the mango grove, and they'd have a picnic at the mango grove. Every time Prabhupada would come from a long distance. It was one of the devotees' favorite pastimes, bring out all the nice prasadam. And one time there was some dogs coming. So devotees started throwing rocks at the dogs to chase them away. And Prabhupada said, no. He started throwing them chapatis. Imagine that, what mercy, these special dogs, they got the mercy of Prabhupada right out of his hands. Prabhupada's throwing chapatis to them. So he didn't see them as a nuisance. He saw them as spirit souls coming to get the... Yeah, Dhamvasis. Yeah. So this is a devotee. He sees the soul, and he wants to help them in whatever way he can. He wants to help them. So we should also get in this mood of trying to help the souls. We have this. We're very fortunate that we have this knowledge. So we should also try to help others become fortunate. So this lockdown should also it should give us a feeling of a separation. Separation makes the heart go fonder, right? So this should increase our desire to distribute this knowledge. And there's in the Bhagavad Gita it's also stated that the soul is sarvagata. It's everywhere, even in fire. Even scientists are finding the entities in fire. They're like shocked. Wow, some entities can live in fire. So the soul was there. The soul is amazing. Ascharyavat pashati kashtenan, ascharyavat vadita taivachanya, ascharyavat chanya anyashunoti, shrutvatya navaida and chaiva kashtet. A little sloppy there, sorry to bit. But this verse explains how some, they see the soul as amazing. Of course, you can't see the soul. They see it with knowledge. It's amazing. Just like the soul is there in a huge whale, and it's living because the soul is there. This little soul, it's living because of that, and it's in the atom. It's in the atom. It's incredible. The soul is amazing. Some describe the soul as amazing, like Krishna. I mean, nobody describes the soul like Krishna does. It's like there's so many scriptural texts, but no one touches on the soul. And the Bible just says, what profiteth the man if he gain the whole world but lose the eternal soul? That's it. That's it. In the Quran, I don't know. Any scholars of the Quran? Is there any mention of the soul at all in the Quran? Huh? Yeah, I'm not sure either. But there's very little information about the soul. There was one doctor in Canada who had seen so many people die. He's looking in their eyes, and they die. And from that, after many times of seeing that, he was convinced there's something spiritual happening here. The soul is leaving. Because he would see a luster leave their eyes. He would be looking straight in their eyes, and at one point, a luster would leave. And he was convinced that, because everything's there, the body is there, everything is there that's needed for life, the soul would leave. He was convinced. So, okay. So one devotee contacted this doctor, and Prabhupada, he gave this information to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada had some exchanges with this doctor about the soul. Prabhupada was very, very happy to hear that here's a doctor that's seen so many people die before his eyes and became convinced that there's a soul. And then, so some see the soul as amazing, some describe the soul as amazing, some hear of the soul as amazing, and some, even after hearing about the soul, can't understand it at all. Just like so many people come, and they get on the boat. They get on Prabhupada's boat, back to Godhead. But then, they can't understand. The soul can't understand Krishna. It's like we're trying to understand Krishna, but in this verse, Krishna says that they can't understand it at all. Even the soul is difficult to understand. What to speak of Krishna? Very difficult. So, Mahatsevam dwar mahor tamo dwaram yositam sangisam mahantaste samachita prashanta. And a devotee, a Mahatma, he's peaceful. Just like so many devotees, they would be in some anxiety over something. They would go to see Prabhupada, some stress or some difficulty they're dealing with. And they would go to see Prabhupada to try to solve the problem. And they would go in, and Prabhupada would be talking to somebody, and they would just be sitting there just absorbing the pure energy of Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada would ask, so, is everything okay? Yes, Prabhupada, everything is fine. They would go in there with so much anxiety, and just by being in the presence of Prabhupada, so pure, so peaceful, so filled with divine qualities, they would have no more problems. Peaceful, shanti. But Prabhupada would also show his anger. Just like in Los Angeles, there was something called the Gopi Baba Club. Tarvita used to be a member. So what it was is they would focus on the internal pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. They wouldn't, huh? Sanjay? Oh, Jai. So they wouldn't read other sections. They would read the Chaitanya Charitamrita sections of Krishna and the gopis and the Srimad Bhagavatam, and they wouldn't go to other areas. They wouldn't read Bhagavad Gita. That's for the neophytes. Yeah. And then Prabhupada got wind of this, and Prabhupada said, call them to me. You had quit by then. Okay, good. He saw it was a deviation here, right? He saw it was a deviation. So Prabhupada became so angry that you think there's something lacking in these other relationships. Krishna and Mother Yasoda and the cowherd boys. And Prabhupada became furious. He was so angry. Hridayananda Maharaj was there. Prabhupada's lips were shivering. You know, so when someone's real angry, you know, sometimes you see their lips quivering because of the anger. So Prabhupada was like that. And Hridayananda Maharaj, he told me, he said, I could see from that Prabhupada, he's a complete devotee of Krishna, you know, just like a Vaikuntha man, you know, just resident from Vrindavan. He was so angry. Of course, it dismantled after that meeting with Srila Prabhupada, and some of them left. And you know, so it was boys and girls that were having these meetings, and some of the girls and boys, they got a little bit, they got a little too close, and got a little too close.
The meeting was mixed. There was a girls.
Yeah. No, they would meet together. The girls and boys would meet together and discuss these pastimes, and it kind of got a little out of hand, and they got imitating Krishna's pastimes, but too much, you know, hearing and then imitating, right? And that's what happens. You hear too much of these internal pastimes of Krishna, you start imitating, and sure enough, that's what happened. So fortunately, we're hearing these things again and again, that we shouldn't. This is called sahajya, taking it cheaply, right? Taking these very elevated relationships with Krishna, taking it cheaply. Yeah, we have to be careful about that. And then Vimanyava. Vimanyava means, when Prabhupada says in the translation, the synonyms there, that when one is preaching Krishna consciousness, one should not become angry. One should not become angry. Because we're out there, we're preaching, distributing books, and sometimes we go through long periods where no one's cooperating. They're not taking books, they're not giving Lakshmi, and you're just trying hard. And sometimes I remember there was one point where Pragosh, he was one of our best book distributors. He was in Santa Barbara distributing, and for 8 hours, no one took a book. And he was good. He was a good book distributor. So finally he just broke down and started crying. Book distribution can be difficult if people aren't reciprocating. So he broke down crying, but sometimes devotees get angry. Okay, yeah. Here's something. David is going to give us something richer on this.
No, I'm just going to read from the book. I'm reading right from the book.
Right from
Without
the book.
anger, one must distribute Krishna consciousness to persons who are hostile without becoming angry at them.
Oh, persons who are hostile. Wow. Okay. Yeah, sometimes we're distributing and people become hostile. You know, of course, generally, I've come across this before. People get hostile. So generally, just get away from them because they disturb your consciousness, and they're not going to take a book. Yeah, so you go to those persons who are a little riper, more interested. But actually, going back to, there's one other point I wanted to make about this piece. Prabhupada was a very peaceful person, but sometimes Prabhupada, in his ecstasy of preaching Krishna consciousness, he would, other feelings would come out. For instance, when Prabhupada was in New York, 1976, he was going to go to Europe and then preach there, do some preaching there, and then go to India. And Prabhupada was not well at that time. He was ill. And actually he never recovered from that time on. So devotees were trying to convince Prabhupada to go to Gita Nagari, not go to Europe and to India. And there he could write, and he can get his health together, nice farm, nice air, devotees would take care of him. And Prabhupada, he would hear them, but he would just, He wouldn't make that decision to change. So even up to the point where he's in the elevator, going down to get his car to the airport, to get on his flight to Europe, still they're trying to convince him. In the elevator, one devotee says, Prabhupada, it's very peaceful there. And Prabhupada finally said, I am not interested in this peace. Sounded like a bad word. But I am interested in preaching, in serving Krishna. Like Arjuna, like on the like they have a saying, like, die with the boots on. Prabhupada didn't say that, of course, but he had that mood. I want to die with my boots on, preaching Krishna consciousness. He said, I want the privilege of being able to please Krishna like Arjuna on the battlefield. So Prabhupada, he was like a warrior. He was a real warrior. Even he wrote a letter to one temple, to all the devotees at one temple. He said, our temples are not places for eating and sleeping, but they are bases from where we send out our soldiers to fight against Maya. And to fight against Maya means to drop hundreds and thousands and millions of books or bombs. Like the bombs are flying from the sky. He said like that. So these are like bombs, destroying their ignorance. So Prabhupada very much had this. He said a preacher has that. He said a preacher has three qualities. Most important, foremost and most important, is he has the qualities of a brahmana. But he also has the qualities of a kshatriya. You have to be strong. You have to be determined. It's a war against Maya. So that has to be there as well. And then also, Vaishya. We're doing business. We're selling books. And Prabhupada, he said, my transcendental, what do you say? Book distribution was my what's the word that I'm looking for that Prabhupada used? Like not trick, but my transcendent, something like the scheme, or that people are benefiting by getting books so much. We all benefited, and the temple is benefiting. The movement is benefiting because they're maintaining the temples. Of course, back then, practically all the temples were being maintained by book distribution. Of course, now practically no temples are being maintained by book distribution because the congregation is helping. So here it mentions that in the purport, Prabhupada, he mentions that many people in India, they think that Krishna, or Vishnu, he's like one of the demigods, right? And they also think that this is another thing, they think that Krishna, he's an incarnation of Vishnu. Right? So some devotees were arguing with some Hindus about this, and Prabhupada said, don't bother arguing. They're in the same family. We're in the same family. They worship Vishnu, they worship Krishna. They think that, Krishna's an incarnation of Vishnu. It's okay. Even it's in the Bhagavatam, he's the 8th incarnation of Vishnu, right? Or is it 8th or something? Something like that. I can never understand. Maybe Dravida. Give Dravida the microphone. Why is that stated like that? I mean, it could be misleading.
Well, I think you're referring to chapter 3, where there's a list of the Leela avatars.
Yeah.
And in that list, Krishna and Balaram are there.
Yeah.
And along with Matsya and Varaha and the rest. But then at the end, it says, Ete Changsa Kalapungsa Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. It says even though, because, in other words, it's not too far into the Bhagavatam, another 5 or 6 verses before you learn, all of these are listed, that are listed are either direct expansions of Krishna, plenary expansions, or Anksha, partial expansion. But Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is Bhagavan himself.
Just a few verses after that,
yes,
this statement is there.
A very few verses. I don't even think it's 10 verses.
So that makes it clear.
Yeah. So.
Okay. 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 Any questions or comments? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki